This is Amud Yomi Gemara in Shabbos Daf. Lamed Hey Amud Aleph, and we're holding on the top of Lamed Hey Amud Aleph as we continue to discuss the Shitais of Bein Hashmashais, in particular the Machlekes Rabba and the Rav Yosef. Says the Gemara on the second line, V'chalufa b'chalsa. With regard to a chalsa, with regard to a basket, the shitais of Rabba and Rav Yosef are the opposite. Damer Rabba chalsa bas treikuri, a basket that holds two core, shari lital tule, you're allowed to move it on Shabbos. Uvika ubas lasa kuri, but the basket of three core, also lital tula, you're not allowed to remove it on Shabbos. So Rabba differentiating between 2 and 3 core with regard to tiltal. Rav Yosef Amar, says Rav Yosef, Bas Lasa Kuri Nami Shari, Bas Arba Kuri Aser. So says the Gemara, Amar Abaye, Boy Minei Demar, Bishas Maisa. Even though we just quoted in a Machlekes, Rabba and Rav Yosef, their shitais, at what point is this basket allowed to be moved on Shabbos? Says Abaya, when it came halacha l'maisa, a shayla was asked, and still, even 2 core, Rabba wasn't makel. Even though we just said Rabba was makel, 2 core, shari l'taltala, and only 3 core, he said, was aser. But says Abaye, in actuality, he was machmir even 2. Kiman. So says the Gemara, whose opinion, when Rabba was a machmir in a bayos halacha l'maisa case, whose opinion was Rabba being machmir like? Says the Gemara, ki aitana, like the following Tanya, the Tanan, we learned in a Mishnah. Kaveres hakash, a straw basket. Kaveres hakanim, a reed basket. Ubar Sfina Alexandrius, or a pit of a Sfina Alexandrius, a boat in Alexandria. These were big pits that were used to store water that the boats would need before they went off to sail. Even though these containers have shulayim, they have a bottom which is flat, and since the bottom of the container is flat, it can clearly hold something inside of it. If they hold 40 savlach, which is shein kurayim biyavesh, which is 2 core biyavesh, such a container, 40 sa of liquid, 2 core of solids, tahirim artar, and they're not bikabel toma. Amar Abaye, Shema Bina, what do we see from here? Hi, good shah till sahave. We see that good shah is when you heap something above the rim of a basket of an item, is 1/3 the volume of the total container. And therefore, says the Gemara, Abaye says, that's going to be the percentages of the amount that you're allowed to take into this utensil. So just to point out what's the sheikhs over here. We're in the middle discussing the Zmana Bein Hashmashais. So the Nikuda that we're connecting the two is simply because in this Machlekes, Rabba goes with 3 and Rav Yosef goes with 2, whereas in our Machlekes, Rabba went with 2 and Rav Yosef goes with 3. So it's the reverse in number. So everyone's wondering, shkayach, there's many different halachas, different numbers. That is true, but that is what the Gemara is commenting of the Machlekes Abaye and Rav Yosef. So back to our shita of Bein Hashmashais, says the Gemara, Abaye chazia l'Rava kadavi l'ma'arav. Abaye saw that Rava was looking out towards the west. We're about 20 lines down. The first one line is the kadavi l'ma'arav. Amar lei. Abaye says to Rava, why are you looking Ma'ariv? Tanya, we learned in our brayz, it calls Mizrach Madimim, that we have to wait for the Mizrach, the eastern side of the sky to redden. So why are you, Rava, looking at the western side of the sky? We should be looking Zakta Abaye on the eastern side. Amar Le, says Rava, Mi savers b'nei mizrach mamish. Do you think that when it says that we have to look at the eastern sky, it means actually facing east? Loi, panim hamadimin es hamizrach. The sky that causes the mizrach to be red, which of course is the opposite. The western side shines eastward. So if I want to know if east is being red-inned, then we got to look west, says Rava. Igad Amri, there are those that learn the exact opposite. Rava Chazila Mizrach looking east. Amrle said Rava, Mizrach Mamish. Said Rava Abaya, why are you looking east? Panim Adimim Es Mizrach. It's that which causes the east to turn red, which is the west. Simanach Kava say. Continues the Gemara, the two dots, about 20 lines from the bottom, going back to the Shita of Rav Nechemya, how long he held Bein Hashmashos was. Rav Nechemya Omer says, quotes the Gemara, Kedei sheyahalech Adam yishetishka achama chatzi mil, after Shkia, after sunset, Bein Hashmashos is the amount of time for a person to walk a chatzi mil, a half a mil. Omar Rav Chanina, Haroita Leida Shir Rav Nechemya. If you want to know what is the practical numbers of Rav Nechemya ben Hashmashos, he shall leave the sun on the top of Har Carmel, v'yired, and run down v'yitzel bayam, and to be toivel, do tvila in the sea, v'yala, and go up to the top of the mountain, and when he reaches the top of the mountain, that's the amount of time that will be nacht, it'll be nightfall. Time to go down the mountain, be toivel, and go back up the mountain. Zeu shir shem Nechemya, and that is the shir of Rav Nechemya. Amar Rav Chia, Haroitz Eliras Be'er Shal Miriam. Once we're saying different measurements, you want to now see the Be'er Miriam, Yala L'Rosh Carmel, the Yitzvah, and look out into the sea, V'yira Kimin Kavara Bayam. And when you see a boulder in the ocean that looks like a kavara, that looks like a sieve, a sifter, zu hi be'ira shel Miriam. Amarav, mayana metaltal tar, a well that is movable is tar, and which is what's the quintessential example of a movable well? Bizman chazal, v'zehu, be'ira, of course, shel Miriam, of Miriam. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, 15 lines to the bottom, the two dots. Says Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel ben Hashmashos Rav Yehuda Kayanim Toivlim Bay. The ben Hashmashos period that Rav Yehuda said is the time that the Kayanim who are Tamei are Toivl in the mikvah, and then that is the night. Later that same night, they're going to be tar. It'll be called Herav Shemesh. Says the Gemara, Leman. What did Shmuel mean when he said that during Ben Hashmashos Rav Yehuda, the Kaihanim go to the mikvah? Elim the Rav Yehuda. If you tell me that Rav Yehuda himself holds this, Sveiku, it can't be. So Rav Yehuda holds that time period is a suffix. It is Ben Hashmashos. So certainly they can't be considered a tefillah by Yoim to allow that night to be the time they'll be tar. Ella, rather, what did Shmuel meant? Ben Hashmashos to Rabbi Yehuda, le Rabbi Yosi koyanim toivlim boy. According to Rabbi Yosi, that he said that Ben Hashmashos is k'erev, that the moment before Sisek Yechavim is Ben Hashmashos. So a moment before that, Rabbi Yosi will hold his Yom, full-fledged day. So the time period, according to Rabbi Yehuda, through the vantage point in the world of Rabbi Yosi, is considered Yom. And then if you travel them, and then the sun, then it comes says you could eat truma. Says Mershkach Pshita, that is Rav Yesi Shita. Explains the Gemara, Maro Tatema, I would have thought, Ben Hashmashos Rav Yesi Mishach Shayech to Rav Yehuda. Maybe Ben Hashmashos Rav Yesi is attached to Rav Yehuda, Kamash Malah, and the Shlim Ben Hashmashos Rav Yehuda. That Rav Yehuda's time frame finishes, and then V'Hadar Maschel, then begins the Erev Ayin of Ben Hashmashos Rav Yosi. And we wrapped up today's shir, 5 lines from the bottom. Amar Rabbi Chanan Rav Yechon. Halach Rav Yehuda Linyan Shabbos, Halach Rav Yosi Linyan Truma. Shabbos says the Gemara Lachomra, we're being machmir that whole time period. We're considering suffix. It might be day, it might be night. Avalini and Shuma, that you're telling me about like Rav Yaisi Kim at Mahi. What does it mean? Elim Litzvila. It means that you have to go to the mikvah before that moment, and then it will be considered nightfall. Sveiku. How can you say that? Says the Gemara as we turn over to Lamehim Beis El Achilas Shuma. They waited that extra moment for the Ben Hashemashas of Rav Yaisi, and only after that did they eat Shuma. We'll pick it up from Amar Rav Yudam or Shmuel on the top of Lamed Hey Amud Beis B'siyata Dishmaya.